Hello and happy New Year, everybody. If you have ever started the new year with a set of resolutions and immediately felt overwhelmed, this is the program for you. I'm coming to you live here with my wonderful friend and one of my assistants, Patty Hart. Hi, Patty.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
We're going to be talking about how to start the year in a gentler way with intentions rather than resolutions. I'm going to talk a bit and I'm going to give you 5 practical intentions for the year. Patty's going to be monitoring the live chat that's coming in from YouTube and Facebook. And after I share a little bit, she's going to be sharing your comments with me, monitoring those and your questions about how you're starting the new year and how to be a bit more gentle on yourself. But this all has to do with realizing the principles of the awakened way, which are you're not only human, right, Patty?
Absolutely.
We're also souls. Patty knows that from when I did a reading and brought her beautiful daughter Lauren through from across the veil. You can watch that at, what's it called, Patty?
It's called Making the Afterlife. Oh, no, that's your book. Sorry.
Actual Evidence of the Afterlife, right? A beautiful reading that shows that your loved ones who passed are still right here. But you're not only human is number 1. Number 2, we are part of one big web. And I love that our Awaken Way community joins us live for these events because you all make up that web. And we learn to look for synchronicities and signs from spirit. And then we come to realize principle number 3 of living the Awaken Way. Love is the creative and connective force of all that is. So today, as we talk about resolutions versus intentions, it all goes back to awakened living. So let me get started with that, and then we'll bring Patty back for the conversation with all of you. I will also lead you all through an intention setting at the end. So it's going to be a really great hour, maybe a little less, maybe a little longer. I don't know. We'll see how spirit guides us. But Patty and I did an intention setting of our own before we got started here with all of you. And wow, could I feel the presence of my guides. So Patty, we'll see you in a bit. She'll be monitoring the chat as we go right now. But I just wanted to start off by saying, why are resolutions so exhausting? Well, we turn to a new calendar every year and we feel like, okay, fresh start. And then we start focusing on what it is about ourselves that we're not happy with. And we think about how can I change that? And the problem with resolutions is they're drastic changes. They require us to suddenly act in a whole new way without being gentle on ourselves. As I was writing some notes for today and writing the term resolution, I was taken back to when I taught at the United States Naval Academy. And in the summer, while the students were doing activities related to becoming naval officers other than classes, the instructors, like I had to help them with those things. So I chose the sailing program, and they had some beautiful 44-foot sailboats on which to train in navigation and leadership and sailing skills. And the names of those boats were very, very powerful boats. Let's see. I wrote a few of them down. I asked my husband, Ty, do you remember those boats? There was Dauntless and Courageous and Valiant. And there was one named Resolute. Can't you feel the power in that word? And that's the root, of course, of resolutions. And that's also the challenge with resolutions when you start off a new year and you say, I am going to lose weight. I am going to stop smoking. Whatever the resolution is, those are some of the most popular, right? Because we're not happy with a certain part of our life or an issue in our life. And we just say, okay, because I changed the calendar, this year I'm going to do it. And why do we fail? Well, here we are, January 4th, as we record this live. And I'll bet if some of you set a resolution, you may have already failed. And that's the problem. Resolutions lead to perfectionism. And the problem with resolutions is they carry a big should with them. And where there's a should, when we don't meet that should, there's guilt and then shame and the feeling of failure. One thing I have learned from daily meditation and connection with my guides. And if you have any intention at all this year, it's to carve out time a little bit as you're able to make a connection with higher consciousness. That in itself will change your life. It certainly did mine back in 2006 when I set that intention. So what I started to say was the guides have let me know so clearly, you and I will never reach perfection. So stop trying. They look for us. I just looked out my window and my dear friend Patty Horn gave us a housewarming gift for this new house, and it's a spiral made of sea glass. And I love that I was able to put it where I look right out the window and I see it as a reminder that our growth is ever onward, ever upward, like a spiral. And the spiral gets wider, more open. Resolutions shut us down. They put us in only human mode, which is restricted and constricted. Can you feel that in yourself as I even talk about that? My gut clenches, my whole body just kind of restricts like that. So that's a clue right there that you're doomed to failure, because in being constricted and restricted, you are not open to guidance from the soul level. And you are a soul right here, right now. I found an article the other day about intentions versus resolutions. I thought, my gosh, everybody's talking about this year. But that article did not get out of the human role at all. This is what makes awakened way living and awakened way teaching different. It takes you beyond the story of you to realize that there's more than just the drama that we live in all the time. And being able to shift your focus and observe yourself in your role makes all the difference in the world. So one of the best intentions you can make is to parent yourself better. And that requires stepping out of the role and observing yourself from a loving state. Some of us may not have had loving parents who knew how to nurture and guide us. And some of you may have had parents that gave the impression that they expected perfection. Your soul does not expect it, doesn't want it of you, but definitely wants you to grow, to grow. And that's growing in what way? In shining your light brighter. That's why we all are here in human form, to shine the light of our beautiful souls and come to know we're soul, remember that we're souls, and interact with each other at the soul level from a place of loving kindness. So as you start the new year, if you make a shift from all of these human resolutions that have to do with the body and our job and our money and all of these very human things that are very important while we're playing the role, then you're going to stay in human only mode. But what if, and what if will lead to some wondrous transformations for you. What if you soften your energy field? What if you're willing to trust you have guides who know how to help you grow and shine? What if you surrender your have tos and shoulds and need to and ask your guides, what is in my best interest as we start a new chapter in this human role, in this story? What would help me feel more loving, feel more open, feel more kind to myself and others? And that's one of the aspects that is missing from resolutions, is the feeling that we're going for. Underneath the resolution is, I want to feel happier. I want to feel better about myself. But that sets you up for failure if you can't stick to the resolution. So before I start repeating myself so much, let's just get back to feeling. What would help you parent yourself better this year? And it's okay to set an intention to lose weight or stop smoking. But ask yourself, why? What is it you want? The bottom line of every intention, when it comes from the soul, is for growth in shining. So if your goal is to eat better, then the underlying intention is so that you feel better. When you feel better about yourself, you can love yourself more and you can love those around you. So do you see how bringing the feeling function in helps so much? So I would ask you to, I had all these notes paid. Here we go, I had all these notes printed out. I'm not even looking at them because I've learned to just turn it over to Spirit and say, what does everybody need to hear? What do I need to hear? And that's what I would love for you to start doing in this coming year, is remembering to tune into Spirit, to pause and ask, how is it possible that I can tune into Spirit? And the answer is so important because you are Spirit too. What is spirit? Spirit is awareness at the deepest level. Awareness of what? I am. I exist. Everything else is story added to I am. So would you like a better story this year? Start by finding and experiencing yourself as I am beneath the story. That's the greatest intention of all. My guides just whispered in my ear just now, the greatest question you can ask yourself and ask in meditation is, who am I? And if the answer has your name in it, then you haven't dug deep enough. If your only experience is you with a name and your external world, the story, you haven't dug deep enough. Sanaya just said, may this be the year of excavation, digging out the layers, obscuring the presence of the I am within you that is the same in everyone, even if they haven't found it yet. When you can find that state of pure being beyond all the drama, beyond all the story, that will be the greatest transformation of your life. And then you'll begin to see it and sense it in others. And when you radiate love from the place of pure being, I am, I don't need a story, I don't need attachments, I don't need anything. I don't need to change anything as I rest as I am and shine my light. Others around you will feel that and start coming into resonance with you. So as you become more peaceful this year, setting an intention to do your excavating and know yourself as the I am presence, you will find those around you acting differently towards you. That is a byproduct. I would invite you to not make it your goal to change those around you. The guides say, don't make it your goal to change yourself. They say, change the way you know yourself. Change the way you identify yourself as not only human, as this beautiful state of awareness with a story added to it, the role you're playing. And now we can ask ourselves, how's that role working for me? Is it bringing you peace? Probably not all the time. Would you like more peace in your life this year? I hear a resounding yes. Well, it starts with, once again, excavating, clearing out the layers of belief systems. That's in my vernacular, your BS, and getting to know yourself beyond all of it. That just takes a few minutes a day. This morning in meditation, sitting right behind me here, I got a beautiful message from Spirit. I picked up my phone because it's already in the Awakened Way app. Let me pull it up here. Do you have the Awakened Way app? It's free. Today's message, they want me to read it to you. Okay. It gets a little bit off track from intentions, but they're saying it's a great intention. It says, yes, you carve out time for stillness in the morning, but what of the rest of the day? And most especially, what about those times when you're weary from so much activity that it's far easier to forget you are a soul playing a role? I know they were talking to me that as well as all of us this morning, because by around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the day, I'm tired. I'm a doer. I'm doing. I start my day by sitting in stillness, and then we get active, right? So by 5 o'clock, I'm tired. And when you get tired, then it's easy to have a glass of wine and want to just binge watch TV. But here's what they said about that. What if you would, it says, this tiredness takes you perhaps to activities and behaviors that are less than helpful for the soul. What if you would set the intention, there we go, to maintain mindfulness at more random periods throughout the day, if you cannot do so constantly? And we do not wish you to do so constantly, to be present and mindful, for the body is not programmed for this. I love this, how the guides are taking us off the hook right away. They're not saying, set the intention this year to be mindful constantly. They're saying, just like perfection, that's impossible for the human, because our brain is wired to have us doing things. Be gentle with yourself, morning, noon, and night, as it were. And they end, as they always do, with the message, you are so very loved. And that message, my friends, is what we come to know when we carve out time for stillness. So as I look out my window, this new house we have came with a bench out front in a little courtyard, and they have invited me to sit out there every now and then. I haven't done that yet because we've been so busy moving in. But how many of you have a nice place to sit outside somewhere near your house, maybe a park nearby, if not your own yard? What if we could set an intention to carve out a little extra time for stillness and use it to say, again, who am I? Right now, I've been pretty caught up in my story. I would just like to sit and breathe for a few moments and find that peace. If we do as Sanaya, all of our guides are constantly guiding us to do, and carve out a few minutes throughout the day, and especially in the evening when we're tired, just a few deep breaths to come back to center will eliminate some of the behaviors that in the past have led us to set resolutions. All right. So they're telling me right now, if I say any more about all of this, I'm going to sound like a preacher. And even though we do our podcast live every Sunday and it kind of feels like church, we don't want it to get churchy. This is all about connection and literally feeling the presence of spirit as we gather as a group. I love that we have people from all over the world. As I watched your comments, people coming in. Hello, Barbara in Austria. Barbara Prince has created some beautiful songs that I'm going to share on my Awaken Way cruise in September to uplift us with these lyrics that Spirit inspired her with. You can listen to one of them right after this program by going to Heaven is Here, Suzanne Giesemann, the most inspiring song. Patty and I were talking, let me bring Patty on for a second, that you listened to that song, The Golden Path, on the Heaven is Here YouTube video that Barbara composed, and I set to beautiful images. I listened to it 3 times in a row on my walk yesterday. When were you listening?
This morning on my walk. Yeah.
And why?
Well, I had taken a walk and I was really feeling connected, and I thought I just want something that's going to like raise my gratitude more. And so I opened my YouTube, and the first thing that popped up was Heaven is Here. And I knew that that's what I'm supposed to listen to, because I do listen to it often on my walks. And it always brings me to tears because it makes me feel so much gratitude. And it's just such a beautiful, the lyrics are beautiful, and it's just a wonderful song to listen to just lift you up and make you feel grateful.
Yes, it is. So there we go. How about that one for an intention? We will lift ourselves up more with inspiring music, and you can do so consciously by creating an inspired podcast. Patty, you know that this is one of the greatest advice we can give to any of you who are grieving the loss of a loved one, that those waves of grief can overwhelm us at any time. Some of you may not have even wanted to start a new year because you're dealing with the passing of someone that you love, they want nothing more than to let you know that they are still with us. And so what if, and I hope you will, you set the intention that when you start feeling that grief, you do feel it, you acknowledge it, you understand why it's there, and then we transmute it into something more loving with carefully crafted podcasts, right? Do you have any go-tos?
Uh, I often listen to the Journey of Remembrance when I'm feeling a little off. I know that this holiday season was a little more challenging than last year, both for my husband and I. And I listened to it multiple times to remind myself who I am and why I'm here and where I come from. And it every time it works. And I step away feeling lighter and more connected and grounded. And that's a big go-to for me. I love that one.
I love that you brought that up. Totally unscripted, everybody. That's a free gift on my website. I believe it's also on YouTube, right? Journey of Remembrance, Suzanne Giesemann. That was a channeled piece, absolutely spontaneous channeling from my guides with beautiful, spontaneously channeled music from Richard Schulman. It sends me when I listen to it. In fact, we had actual physical healings from listening to that as a group on my last Mediterranean cruise, which there's also a video about the spontaneous healing that comes from basking in the energy of spirit, and that journey of remembrance carries that energy. So yeah, those are two very spiritual recommendations, right? Metaphysical as well, for a podcast list or what is it? Not just podcast list. What is it? Listening list on your phone. What do you call that for the music? Playlist. That's I'm tuned into spirit, not the human stuff. A playlist. So I have one called Awesome Uplifting Tunes. I have a playlist called that. And so that's my go-to. So there's an intention. But Patty, we'll come back to you to share what other people are saying. Maybe some people want to give some recommendations for music and such. But I want to, before we go to that, I want to share with you 5 practical intentions that might resonate with you to help you live this new year in a more awakened way. And awakening again means I know I'm not only human. I know I'm part of a big web. You may not live that consciously all the time, but there's an underlying knowing. And the more you practice awakened way living, the more it becomes absolutely part of your life. Your go-to will be turning to your guides and your higher self for guidance instead of going to something more human. So let me go through these 5 very practical intentions and just ask spirit to guide me in a discussion of those. And then again, we'll get to some of your comments and questions and we will set intentions together. So I prepared for this by having some pop-ups here. And we've been talking about this already, but number 1, and these are not in any specific order, focus on your inner self. I have a book coming out later this year. We may be changing the title, so I'm not going to give you the title of it right now. But it's all about, instead of saying, hey, Siri, we say, hey, Spirit. It's the same word, but we add a P and a T. How cool is that? My guides gave me that one day in meditation, and I about fell over. It's like, absolutely. Instead of going outside of ourselves, we turn within and listen. So this would be a beautiful intention. How would it feel if you focused a little more throughout the day on what's going on inside? Many of us get in a habit of stuffing down feelings and emotions. How would it be if we focused on what we're feeling and allow it to be felt and notice how it flows right through us and leads to a new experience? Because feelings come and go like waves. So when you stop stuffing down feelings, listening to them by pausing and sensing in your body, what am I feeling? What am I sensing? Oh, I'm tense. Why is that? Now you can ask, why is that? And it just kind of dissipates. Or you could realize, I have a team of guides. I'm going to move my attention to the hara in the belly, the center of soul awareness at the very center of you. And I'm going to ask, Why is my gut clenched right now? What am I afraid to look at? And by asking so clearly from within and now listening, wow, you may be surprised. Have a little pad of paper nearby and be ready to start writing insights. The very first time I did that, first time in my life, I was 31 years old. Oh my God, more than half of my life ago. And for the first time ever, I thought, what if I ask a question and actually get an answer? And I said, why do I feel out of control around food? I asked that at age 31. I had never asked it deliberately, just in the sheer hopes that something would have an answer for me. I had no spirituality. Instead, in the past, I was always like, why do I always turn to sugar? Why do I eat stuff that's not good for me? But for the first time, I asked deliberately. And oh my God, it was like the floodgates open. And I remember I had to get a yellow legal pad and fill page after page of insights coming from, at the time, I had no idea where. And right now, my guides are saying, you see, we've been with you your whole life. And so have yours. Have you asked them the question? They're telling me that some of you want to know what I heard. And what I heard at age 31 was, you are stuffing down feelings of insecurity and not good enough from when you were a teenager and felt ugly and homely and had terrible acne and wireframe glasses. And you didn't want to feel that, but it felt a lot better to eat ice cream and cookies. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is right. And all these feelings that I hadn't allowed myself to feel started welling up. That was the start of starting to listen within, but it didn't come with a component of knowing where those answers were coming from. The Awakened Way leads us to know that being part of this web means any guidance you know is available. So focus on your inner self and don't be afraid to listen, right? So that's number one. Number two, a very practical Awakened Way intention for this year would be, let love guide you. Now, doesn't that sound Pollyanna? I love Pollyanna. She is a wonderful guide. I'm anthropomorphizing here and making a characteristic into a person, but love is the creative and healing force of the universe. Love is lack of separation. Love is source. God is love. What does that mean? It means that what guides us is this indivisible, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent force. Are you using it? What if God really is love and not a person that doles out favors? What if love is breathing you now? There's a reason you can't hold your breath more than a certain length of time, because you are meant to be in this beautiful, beautifully designed body. Let that force guide you. Come to know it is love by sitting in the silence, by carving out time to go within and listen. It will rock your world. It will change your world. I had no idea there is a love that profound that's actually in here, but yet not contained here. And that's the thing. Once you get to feel that, you can't contain it. Whew, I better watch out, because out here it's coming, right? And what's wrong with that? Let love guide you. How do you do that? Go back to focus on your inner self and say, I want to know myself as love this year. If you already know yourself as love, set the intention. My intention this year is to be guided by love. Now that's held here. Now we say, may I be guided by love this year? Can you feel the difference in that and a resolution? these kinds of intentions will lead to growth, onward and upward. And so there may come a time when you're not particularly loving to yourself. You don't beat yourself up because these are awakened intentions. And you say, slipped up there. Let me go within and ask why. What was I feeling? What was I telling myself? What did someone else tell me? And I believed it. I'm going to go back, get on that spiral, and let love guide me to a more loving response the next time. Wow. It changes everything. So the third intention for awakened living this year, value the connections in your life. You know, the people you live with, the ones who push your buttons, they are your greatest teachers. I've been teaching this for 15 years now. Once you come to realize that if somebody ticks you off or tweaks you just a little bit or triggers something, may this year, if you set the intention to value connection, a little bell go off inside and it says, opportunity. Oh, that will change everything as well. And it's not an opportunity to change them. It's an opportunity to focus on your inner self and say, why did that trigger me? And then let love guide you by saying, how might I respond differently this time? And I'll bet you'll hear an answer by listening inside that says, just love them. It does not mean becoming a doormat. Perhaps one of the most loving things you could do is to separate you from anybody who is harmful and not kind to you. But it starts by valuing your connection with spirit. So this web that we're part of is all about realizing that at the deepest level, we really are all connected. I did a reading yesterday that showed the connections between my client and her partner's parents across the veil. She asked me a question. I'm going to share the whole story in my monthly connection a week from Tuesday. Check my website for the date and registration instructions. But she said, I'd love to know if his parents approve of me. And I laughed because I could feel their approval so deeply, but I hadn't said it. But then this amazing evidence came through with this stunningly romantic and beautiful message linked to an object that he had in his possession, and his parents showed us where it was. I shared it with Ty later. He screwed up his face like a little kid trying not to cry. It was so beautiful. And to me, just a sign that this woman had never met her in-laws. They passed before she met her current partner. And yet, through the connection, they were guiding her more to love herself and appreciate his love for her. A beautiful story. I'll share it more at length later. But I bring it up now because I said to Ty, this is why I continue to do readings. I would rather be teaching and writing all the time, but I do readings regularly because they bring us fresh teaching, fresh insights, fresh examples of healing, and the healing that comes when we value the connections we have. And even if you've never met some of the people in your life now, their loved ones across the veil, they know you. I never met Patty's daughter, Lauren, but I know her now. And Patty, you sure know about the web. I just want to give you a chance to comment on the web of connections and how you value it.
Oh my gosh. Well, finding out or learning that I could connect with Lauren was life-changing for me, because I felt that I had to believe that there was something more, that we were connected to something bigger, just because I felt like, well, after losing her, how could this just be the end? And so I had to believe it. But when I started to meditate just the 3 minutes of the day with the sip of the divine, and I felt that connection, and it's almost indescribable. It's a physical thing that you feel when you realize that you're not just connected to your loved ones. You're connected to everybody and everything around you. We're all connected to each other and to source and to something so much bigger. And so when that that knowing came to me, it changed my perspective on life. It changed my perspective on how I want to love and treat other people and what I want to share and what I want to focus on. And I just think being connected that way and knowing I can, and I don't always feel like I have to go into meditation to connect with Lauren. I walk and I just like, I know she's right there and I know that she's with me, and that's such a gift. And that is something that we can all have. You know,
Yes.
if we take the time, we take to kind of sit in silence and to learn how to connect, they're always there. It's like the veil, it's like an illusion, you know, it's really not there because it's all right here. It really is.
Oh, Patty, perfect, perfect. I just love how spirit guided you to say all of that, because this is the awakened living. And so thank you so much for that. Absolutely beautiful and perfect. And so Patty reminded me, I could hear some of you awareness saying, but how do I get to be like that? How do I get that way? By the way, please do watch Actual Evidence of the Afterlife, that video with Patty and Dave and the reading, because you will see such a different person in both of them than you just saw in Patty. Total transformation. And she set the intention, not a resolution, to connect with her daughter. And she has a beautiful connection with her now. And it's by also practicing the 3 E's of awakened living. The first one being educate yourself about how to make the connection. I have many courses on my website to help you do that. Teaching is my passion. Teaching that we can all do that. Watch more of the videos and soak up this energy. The second one is experience the soul that is you, and then come to know it's in all of us. Experience it through carving out stillness. And number 3, engage with higher consciousness. That is what we're talking about here, that it's not you against the world. It's not you having to accomplish a resolution. It's transforming your life through this connection with those around you in physical form, with your own inner self, and with higher consciousness by engaging them, by talking to them, like Lauren and Patty, engaging in conversation, not just in meditation, but throughout the day. I'm reminded of another video that I shared recently about my connection with the director of our film, Wolf's Message. It's also based on my book, Wolf's Message. Absolute proof of the afterlife there. But I did a reading recently for the director, Jim Spruill, and his wife, Gloria, to connect with their son, Dakota, on Dakota's angel date, the date that he crossed to the other side. And it was the funniest moment when Dakota said, I hear you talking to me. You can talk silently or you can talk out loud, but don't become like that crazy person in the grocery store, Dad, who walks around talking to me out loud. And Jim burst into laughter because clearly Dakota knew that just the day before, Jim was in the grocery store saying, hey, bud, which of these Knorr soup should I buy? Saying it out loud. Just absolute evidence that your loved ones are with you. They hear you when you talk. So that connection never ends because we are eternal souls. So that was the third one. Let's go back through them again. All right. I love this. Number 1, in no specific order, focus on your inner self this year. May that be a beautiful intention for you. Let love guide you this year more than ever before. That's the thing about the spiral. Love has guided me since my Susan passed and I got on this path, but there's no limit to how much love can guide us. Because we're hardwired to be human while we're in these bodies and we lose our focus, when we set an intention that love guide us even more, it grows and it just gets better. Value the connection and the opportunities to let love guide us. So now the 4th intention we can set for this year, stay present. And it's so interesting that that was this morning's message, that just recognize that we cannot stay present 100% of the time. The body is wired to look for danger, right? That's caveman mentality there. What's the problem out here? But when you focus within and stay present enough to pause and let love guide you, you can see how all of these work together. So simply set the intention to be more present. I recently have put online a new workshop at the Forgotten Center that focused on how a months-long challenge I had with sciatica and a herniated disc and pain like I've never felt was actually a gift and an opportunity to me because it made me be present. And to this day, I still have little twinges in my back, which every time I feel them, instead of saying, oh man, it's still there, I say, opportunity to be present, to slow down, to listen, to be guided. So that's the beauty of presence. And then the fifth, and of course, we could have 10 or 20 beautiful intentions, but let's not overwhelm ourselves. Let's not aim for perfection. The fifth practical intention for a new year based on awakened living would be follow that inner knowing. So we've listened for it, but now what if we act on it? So many of you ask me, how do I know that the guidance I'm receiving is not my imagination? Well, first of all, move your awareness to the hara, that center of you. Focus on your heart as well. Combine the two. That leads to inner knowing. This is my next best step. I can trust this. If it's helpful, if it's not at all going to lead to pain or danger or harm to anybody else, act on it and see where it leads you. Oh, I have a whole story to share in the next monthly connection. Let me just say that we just had a fire truck and an ambulance come to our house 2 nights ago. Boy, did I ever have to act on my inner knowing all day. And I'm not going to share that one. We'll leave you hanging on that one. But the lessons, whew, the lessons abound. And I'm very grateful. All is well, everybody. But wowee, I was able to stay centered and listen to that inner knowing and know exactly what to do, step by step, remaining very, very calm. We had house guests here, our dear friends Lynn and Jeff Holohan, and I just walked out and I said, they had just gone to bed. I knocked on the door. I said, I'm about to call 911. I may need your assistance in meeting a fire truck out front and an ambulance. And it was just that calm, everybody. Where does that come from? And again, I say all is well, but I'll tell the whole story in the monthly connection. But that knowing that we're guided, that trusting that what is unfolding is being guided, is all part of a story, comes from practice. Would you like to get to that state of peace that very little knocks you off balance? There's an intention for the new year. So if I go on anymore, I'm going to be repeating myself, but it's all about being gentle this year, feeling into why you might want to change and transform yourself, but realizing perfection is impossible. Look at nature. You don't see perfectly straight lines, perfect circles. There's just a little flow with everything. Knowing we'll never reach perfection. What might you like to change? Set the intention to be more gentle with yourself, to make better choices in your diet, perhaps, that will naturally lead to a healthier lifestyle by focusing on your inner self. Letting love guide you as you reach for the next bite, right? Valuing connection with others and feeling, am I being loving to myself? Maybe that's why I'm reaching for this donut, because I'm not loving myself enough. Being present enough to say, I know I don't really want this cigarette or this drink. Why am I reaching for it? I don't think I've carved out any silence. I'm going to go sit on that bench and breathe deeply for a few. And oh my goodness, that craving went away. I just loved myself. Wow. Do you see the difference between resolutions and following an intention? Following that inner knowing, this is what's best. I really could eat that donut with no guilt, but I think maybe I'll go for a walk tomorrow instead of I'm going to walk 5 miles every day. So it's a state of flow. So enough of that. Let's bring Patty back on. Patty, I've noticed you making little comments and then writing some notes. What
Yeah.
kind of things is everybody in the live chat sharing with?
Well, one of the big things at the very beginning is everybody loved your spontaneity when you threw your notes away. I think we all need to do a little more of throwing our notes away and just kind of flowing and following our guidance and our inner knowing. I think sometimes things would be a little easier and less rigid. So they really like that. I did just see a comment from, and this is a little bit heavier, but I think a lot of people ask this, especially this time of year, from at Y19501. I'm tired of my human story. I don't want it.
Oh, beautiful. There's a reason you're tired of it, because you've given it so much focus and it's painful. But the fact that you can now label it a story is such a hopeful start. It's a great, the guides are showing me a diving board, right? Okay. So you are the author of your story at the soul level. Don't let that human side write the next chapter. Sit quietly and say, all right, I have allowed this story to get to this point, and that's okay. But now I would like my soul and higher guides to show me what I can change little by little to write a more pleasant story. What aspects of my thoughts might I upgrade and up level little by little? Please guide me and show me when I'm not being loving. Please guide me and show me when I'm allowing others to not be loving to me. Please guide me and show me why there is not abundance in my life. What belief system in me is keeping that from coming to me? Please show me how I can write a better story, and listen and act on it. And it's gradual. It's not all at once so that you feel like you're failing. But again, that separation from the story comes from the fact that you are far more than the body and the story and the role.
Yeah, that you're only human, but you're not only human. I love that. I think that we all look for comfort in certain things, and because we're human, and so our human self feels less than, or we feel not well or disappointed, and so we look for comfort in other ways instead of looking into ourselves and loving ourselves and doing something because you love yourself, not to fix yourself, right? Because really, ultimately, there's nothing wrong with us. We are all whole and perfect already. It's just our human self gets all caught up in that.
That's
And
right.
we have to remind ourselves that we are already whole and perfect. And just to, look.
As you say that, Patty, I'm reminded there are some people that reach out, and Patty screens my emails because I can't get to all of them. And she'll answer many of them so lovingly. We can't answer all of them, but some she'll say, Suzanne, I feel you really need to see this one. And then I'll read it. And there are some people that, oh, I wish I could get them to really hear their words the way I see them externally. And it's just negative, 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 negative. And it's helping a person to hear what they're saying to themselves and focusing on all the things that are wrong in their life. Patty, what brings us to coherence faster than anything? Do you know what it is? What brings us to the loving state beyond the negative faster than anything?
Gratitude.
There we go. Oh, I know you would have beat yourself up for the rest of the day. Absolutely, it's gratitude. So if you find yourself in this negative spiral going down, that's going back into the story. Find one thing to be grateful for, and find yourself a gratitude buddy that you'll end each day by texting them one thing you're grateful for before you turn the light out. And they text one too. And you don't have to comment and start a big long story, but just to shift that negativity and the story is the greatest start.
Well, Stephanie Fennig, who is on our team, our amazing chief of staff, she wrote something in the chat that I thought was very appropriate for this topic. And she said, consider setting an alarm about 6 times a day on your phone. You can pause for 1 to 2 minutes for gratitude and peace. This helps so much. And I remember the first time she said that, and I thought that's brilliant, because we all know how to set an alarm on our phone. Yes. And if it goes off at 3 p.m. when you're all hurried and things are going on, and you're reminded, okay, stop, find something that you're grateful for, and then move on with your day. Because it does change your vibration. It really does, especially when you're meditating, when you get to that lift part, when you think of just find something you're grateful for. And it's like, it really opens up your heart. Really.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Stephanie. Great idea. You thinking of setting an alarm on the phone took me to the Awaken Way app and how helpful it is to read something uplifting every day. What if that were an intention? And if you don't do it every day, we don't beat ourselves up because it's not a resolution that requires perfection. It's, hey, I'm going to help my own soul's growth by reading something uplifting. And that daily message that comes up is one of those. What's really cool about the app is the different features that you'll find in the menu, such as asking a question or asking for guidance. I'd rather you go within than asking an app, but it's fun to play with. Okay. But just yesterday, I had to reach out to Bev Garlett, my wonderful assistant. And those messages are brand new and fresh. I would say 360 days of a year, but every once in a while something happens. And yesterday I reached out to Bev and I said, Bev, I was in the ER till 2 a.m. Will you please post a rerun of an Awaken Way message for me for yesterday? And when I read what she posted, I reached out to her and I said, that is so perfect, that message. How did you choose that one? And see, Bev lives the Awaken Way. She will often ask her guide, give me a date of a message, and then she goes and finds an old one. But she said, I used the Oracle button to see what spirit would bring up as the perfect message to run an older one and make it new. So like I said, they're almost always brand new, but there are occasional circumstances that come up. And I love how we can use technology to augment our spiritual path, like Stephanie suggested. Good one, Patty.
Okay, we have a question from Christina from New Zealand, and she says, this is referring back to what you started speaking about at the beginning, about excavation. She says, how can people excavate what is necessary when they are in deep grief?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to ask the guides this answer. Okay, there's the lip twitch. I think it's the first lip twitch of the hour. I'm not sure. That's my guide saying, we got this. Recognizing again that all emotions, and especially grief, comes in waves. Flow with those waves and say, here it comes, but this will pass. And be willing to know that it is a process, and that because you're willing to feel it and ask questions like, why is my grief so deep right now? And hear what spirit has to say about that. You're flowing with it. You are mining this experience in your life now for the lessons it has to teach you. And that in itself, by being present with what is happening in your life, by not resisting and saying, this can't be happening, you are growing. So grief is part of your growth. You've been there, Patty, and look where you are now. Wow.
Yeah. It's really true. And it's a process. And I'm in a good place the majority of the time. I mean, because of what I know today and how I live my life today. But that doesn't mean that I don't have moments of grief and sadness, and it comes and it hits you when you don't expect it. But again, you learn how to let that flow through you, because it's all part of the human experience and the soul experience. And so you allow yourself to feel those feelings, and you know that they will pass, and you will, come out of it, and you will have experiences of joy and happiness again. And that's such a huge lesson for me. It was huge to know that I'm not going to be stuck here.
Yeah. And it's like when I reached out to you in December, you said it was a rough Christmas season, and I could tell, because Patty is one of the most joyous, positive people I know, and I could feel it. You were going through a patch there, and I've learned, which I recommend to all of you, not to try to make it better for you in that moment. I didn't say, "Oh, you'll be okay. Oh, do this or that." I just was, just be present with somebody who's going through that, because that is going to lead to growth.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, here's a big one. Here's how you and Sanaya are going to answer this. Let's Watch TV 957 says, here's a question for you. Who created God?
See, that's a human question. It's a human question.
Sure.
You are anthropomorphizing and giving form to something that is formless. And so the better question is, what is God? And then experiencing that for yourself, because that question has no logical answer. So Sanaya says, it cannot be answered. It can be rephrased. What is God? And now let us give you the experience of that. There, just for the briefest of moment, with no story, with pure presence, you all experienced what is breathing you.
Yeah. Because I love that. That was perfect. I was curious how that was going to be answered. Perfect. Okay, Lisa has a question. She said, how do you deal with loved ones who question or don't like what you are doing in the doing and following on this path?
Just love them. Let them be, and you follow your path. And don't put up walls. That's it. And if they're going to say hateful things to you, finish that phrase, Sanaya. Send them love, and most of all, love yourself for being true to yourself. And then distance yourself from harmful behavior. We talked about that before. So let's not get off the path here of what today's program is about. Instead of a new year, new you with resolutions, it's new intentions. And it goes right back to the 5 things we talked about, right? Let's go through them again. Just show them to you again. Focusing on your inner self, not giving so much weight to what other people say to you, and allowing them to dictate what you believe and how you act. Letting love guide you. Why are you on this path? I'm specifically addressing now that question because I know we're also surrounded in some form, not in this house, by people who don't support the path that we're on, right? And we're trained to give value to people's opinions instead of letting love guide us. So do value the connections you have, but are they loving? Are they helpful? Are they healing? If not, ask, then why am I giving this importance? Why am I giving this my presence and my time? Stay present. And that feeling within as somebody questions you or doesn't support you, is it clenching? Then that's not a healthy relationship. That presence allows you to feel the restriction within yourself. If you're not present, it's going to lead, in my case, to reaching for a piece of chocolate. I've learned that lesson the hard way. And then follow that inner knowing. I love this person, even if they don't agree with me and support me. So I'm going to give them love, but I'm going to set some boundaries too. I hope that you can respect my new path. I hope that you can see how it's leading me to be more peaceful and more loving. Thank you so much. Okay. How about just a couple more and we'll wrap this up so everybody can get out there and live their new intentions. We're going to guide you through an intention setting before we leave, but we'll take a couple more comments or questions.
Well, I did have Chris actually asked if you would explain the picture behind you.
Oh, yes.
Love that picture.
Thank you, Chris. If you read my book, Wolf's Message, you'll read how I met a wonderful artist named Barry Mack, who reached out for some guidance, and I channeled answers from Sanaya to him many years ago, probably 2012 or 2011. And the answer was so profound that he said it saved his life. And he was so grateful. He gave me a painting that is in the house in another place. But I talk about that in the book, Wolf's Message. And then I got to meet Barry, and I've fallen in love with his art. I'm not going to turn my screen to show you another piece because I might knock my camera off, and that would not be good. But that is a piece by Barry Mack, and he calls it Red Guardian. It's actually, he wrote it on the back, Red Guardian. To me, that is like the layers of spirit that stand with us. Even we are not solid, but we appear more like that more solid, darker figure in the beginning. But behind us is a being that has our back. And that is the light, and we're all the light. I cannot think of a better painting to have in this room. It was in my living room in the other house, and this new house has a lot of curved walls. I was drawn to it because I love the state of flow and peace that this house has. It's like nothing I've ever seen with curved walls, but less room to hang artwork because the walls are curved. But when I saw that flat space, I said, that's the painting that's going there to just inspire me. And now I'm glad you asked, Chris, because I hope it inspires you as you watch future podcasts and webinars and monthly connections with me, to remind you, you have guardians in spirit with you all the time. Many of them are your loved ones who have passed. Others are your guides who've been with you your whole life. Trust me on this. This retired Navy commander, I say with utter knowing, guides and higher consciousness are very real and very much with us.
Nice. Okay, Quila has a suggestion, and I love this because this is something that we do in our house. She said, I restarted a gratitude jar bowl in October and continuing. I write on a small card before bed things that I'm grateful for and put it in the bowl. And I don't negate it, or if I forget and don't do it one night.
Hey.
And I love this because Lauren, for at least 7 years before she passed, she would go and buy a jar and she put the year on the outside of it in chalk, and she would put little notes in there if something happened that made her happy. Like one of the notes we found said, Grandma told me I look nice today. Just something so tiny. Now for us, it's a gift. I have one right over here on the counter, and I pull some of them out of Lauren's. We also do it, but and then at the end of the year, you can open it up and look at all the wonderful things that made you smile or made you happy. So what a great suggestion.
I love that. I have the perfect big jar for that. I'm going to do it too. I love that you take it out at the end of the year. That makes something to look forward to, something to, I want to say work towards, but my guide said, don't use that word work, something to look forward to. Yeah.
Because if you think, wow, what happened this year? And then you pull all these things. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. So I think those are kind of fun, but I thought that was a great suggestion.
And a perfect way to wrap that up. Thank you, Quila. Thank you, Patty. I'm going to now lead us through an intention setting. I'll bring you back on just before we leave, Patty. Okay, so don't go away. But I teach this in my courses all the time about intention setting. We can set an intention just eyes open, walking around, driving a car at any time. But if there's something that you truly hope to achieve and you want to make it part of your very being, and you want to be reminded just through an inner knowing that perhaps there's something you could do towards that, or you haven't been paying attention to it, then set an actual intention setting session that can only take 30 seconds or a minute, but it really cements it in your pattern, in your energy field. And it's just a matter of moving awareness to the center of you rather than just in your head. Drop down into the heart and the belly, the hara, and then acknowledging that you're part of something so much greater, and that together with all of these beings who are here with you, helping you, you're setting an intention that will help your soul's growth. So I'm going to guide you through one, but this is just an overarching one. I don't even know what is about to be said through me, but my guides will lead it. And then perhaps after the program ends, you'll set something more specific for yourself. And I remember leading this once, and when I finished it, somebody in the audience raised their hand and they said, could you repeat that? And I laughed, because it's not about the words. It's about the feeling and the intention behind it. So don't focus so much on the words as the whole big picture we're going for here. And this is going to come out in beautiful, loving, spiritual language, I'm sure, but it could also be just fun and playful. The guide said maybe we'll do it both ways, so we'll see. But just to focus within and shut out distractions, let's close our eyes for a moment and set a group Awake and Way community intention for this year. And you notice I haven't said the year a single time in this program, because this is timeless information, but we all know what year it is. And I'm grateful to be here with you. So with eyes closed, let's get centered with a nice relaxing breath, deeply breathing in through the nose And exhale very slowly and even longer than you inhaled through the mouth. Let's get out of our head by simply becoming aware that we are an entire ray of light of the one source, dropping down in that ray past the heart into the hara, the belly, centered here. And here, as a ray of light, we're connected to all other lights. And so we, as a community of lights, and yet individuals as well, living our individual story, set the intention together that we will be kind to ourselves, kinder each moment that we remember to be present in this coming year. We set the intention that we will listen to our inner guidance and act on it when it's helpful and healing to ourselves and hopefully to others. We set the intention to notice our growth, if only in moments of greater love and appreciation. We set the intention to come to know ourselves as the light of our source in expression. And to simply translate this into fun and playful language. Hey, Spirit, I'm going to listen this year. And I'm going to be the presence of love. We got this. Thank you so much. All right. And you got this too. I thank you all for joining us here. Thank you, Patty. Beautifully, beautifully guided today to help us with the perfect comments. Thank all of you for joining us. I hope that you will take the time now to set an individual intention for whatever struck you today. That the guides don't even like words like struck, okay? That you will be guided by whatever uplifted you today and gave you the feeling, I would like that in my life. So just take a moment and write it down, and I hope you will go out and get a gratitude jar like Patty talked about. Meanwhile, do check out my website with all the upcoming events. Join our community if you're new to this. It's all about learning that connection, living the awakened way. Patty, thank you so much.
Thank you, Suzanne. This is wonderful. Great way to start the year.
Awesome way to start the year. I want to thank my wonderful assistant, Ellen, for giving us the idea. Thank you, Spirit, for inspiring Ellen and my whole team that helps us. I love you all. Hope to see you back here again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.